everybody, happy April. Yeah, April. Holy moly. Here is my strategy video. So it's a little different because it's not a specific strategy, but kind of it is, kind of it isn't. So I was asked to go observe a child in a school, and the school was a school for just kids with special needs. And I do that because a lot of us don't like the term special needs, but that's what I was told. It's a school for kids with special needs, and they also had like dorms. Some of the kids lived there, and some of the kids just came in for the day and left. So what I hear and what I usually see when I go into a school for children with special needs is a disaster, to be honest. It is a lot of ABA, stickers, tickets, tokens, points, clips, and candy stuff, so many rewards, everybody being really serious and really robotic. So I was ready for that. I was like, I stretched it out in the parking lot. I'm like, here I go. I even had like a treat. I'm like, I'm going to get an iced coffee on the way home, which I should not drink iced coffee because I'm already bonkers. And I was like, I'm going to do that. That's right. I'm going to reward myself, right? We shouldn't be rewarding kids, but we could reward ourselves. So I was going to reward myself. I'm like, okay, here I go. This is going to be a tricky one. I have to stay in this school for 2 hours. And I already know that I'm going to have a headache when I leave because it's going to be so sad. So when I go in, I walk in and it's gorgeous. It's beautiful. It's not run down. It has natural colors. It has pastel colors. It has wood. It has beautiful decorations. It has murals and just wonderful things. And I thought, well, maybe I'm wrong. But I didn't want to get my hopes up, right, because I'm only in the entryway. So I get greeted, and I go into the classroom I'm supposed to go into, and I went into the gym first. And the child was supposed to have a hard time in gym. The paras were amazing. So I'm thinking of all the things that if I was to replicate a school, or if I'm going to have a school where there are a lot of neurodivergent kids. I work in some schools that are like 70 to 90% neurodivergent, and they're run like neurotypical schools. I'm like, hey, know your population, woohoo. So paras who were playing with the kids, playing basketball, they were laughing and giggling. The paras were happy and lighthearted and funny. And I thought, oh, they had great information. They understood the kids. They knew what to do and what not to do. They knew nobody had any stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips or candy. I didn't see it the entire time I was there. Nobody had to earn a break. Nobody had to lose a point or a sticker. No one had to miss out on anything. And I was like, what? Does this place really exist in the state I live in? Holy moly. And then we went to the classroom for a quick second. It had nice dim lights. It had variation of seating, right? There was a lot of tea stools. There was a lot of wobble cushions. There were desks, but you didn't have to sit at desks. There was a fish in a fish tank, right? That's hugely calming for kids to see. It was just like, right, they had fluorescent lights, but they put the covers over them. It was like so cozy in the classroom. And I thought, yes, still a lot of natural stuff, still a lot of natural light, natural colors, pastel colors. It was really wonderful. All the kids had their own spaces. There was like a science experiment that a kid wanted to do, the one I was observing over in the corner. It was really wonderful. They had noise-canceling headphones. It was wonderful. Then we went to the library. The librarian read the kids a book, and I thought, how is this going to go? They had cushy stools they could sit on. They had looked like a flower with the middle part out, so you could sit in it, and your feet could go up like this. And there were a kid filling that up and doing different things, and they all sat there. I was there for at least 2 chapters. So they all sat there for 2 chapters and listened to that. Beautifully. I've never seen any child, any group sit in a library and listen to a story as intently as these kids did. And I thought, wow, someone had to have worked really hard to make this happen. Or this book is really interesting. I just got the end part, so I didn't know what was going on. And then they got some free time, and a lot of them went to computers. The child I was observing came over and talked to me about special interests, right? So, the special interests were celebrated. I was like, what is going on? Like, I went from thinking I was going to have a headache to like, I might do cartwheels in the parking lot on my way back to the car. Then when we went back to the classroom, they took the girls to go do like, it was girl talk, right? So a girl, maybe guidance counselor came and took the girls who presented as girls or were gonna have periods and go through puberty in that sort of way and had that conversation with them. And I thought, yeah, that's amazing. First of all, it's in a small group. Second of all, the kids that went with this teacher, they were so excited. Is it today? Do we get to go today? And I was like, what? So that was amazing. The boys, then, or the ones who weren't getting the periods, were then sitting at the desks and they learned about like a curriculum, like real life curriculum. So the girls went and did real life curriculum and the boys did real life curriculum. They were learning about headphones and, right, there's a lot of kids who were listening to headphones and fell asleep with headphones in their ears and how loud it should be and the whole part of the ear, like the inside of the ear and what it's called and why it's like that. There was one kid who had a cochlear implant, so everybody had questions and I'm like, yeah, this is the stuff we should be teaching kids. It was so great. Then the pairs left to go on break and other pairs came in. I'm like, okay, this is where it's going to fall apart. Nope. Beautiful. They still loved that para. There were fidgets that were sticky and they were all over the ceiling. We went over and we named them. Like one was named Smooch because it got stuck to the ceiling like this and it was hanging by its lips from the ceiling. The teacher said sometimes the fidgets just fall down. And it makes me pee my pants. And I was like, I thought that. If I was in that classroom and that fell down, I'd pee my pants. So it was just really great that I was like, so there's fidgets in the classroom. And nobody got mad when they got She goes, I know when I give these out, they're going to end up on the ceiling. She's like, some of these have been up here since the beginning of the year. And some of them, I was like, well, that's a natural consequence. You get a fidget. You know it's sticky. You know it's going to stick to the ceiling. If you go like this, then you're going to lose it. I guess you can get and nobody, we could take a broom and get them down. No, kids think it's hysterical up there. We were going and naming them all. We were counting them all. There was 20 on the ceiling. And the teacher understood neurodivergent brains. She's like, it's kind of like a weird classroom. All the kids are kind of weird. And I was like, you know what? I'm kind of weird. She goes, yeah, me too. And then we talk about that. You can have your special interests. You can have your glimmers. You can have your spins. You can communicate that way. And then she says, I let them know how that might be viewed in the outside world. I don't tell them to change. I just say, this is what you might expect. And I'm like, what? That's amazing. Be who you are. Be as weird as you want. Just know that kids... Right? They practice on what happens if somebody says this to you. What would you say back? What happens if someone does this to you? Or rolls their eyes? Or doesn't care about your special interest? And she gives them language to figure that out. And I was like, this is amazing. So I saw the guidance counselor, another guidance counselor on the way out, because she's the one that greeted me. And she said, how was it? And I was like, great. I get to go back. Because I didn't go to art, and art seems to be hard for the student I was watching. So I'm going to go into see art. So maybe next month I'll give you an update of what it looks like in art and other beautiful magical things. But I do want to say that I found one, guys. I found a school where neurodivergent brains are celebrated by the adults. They know not to do any stickers, tickets, tokens, points, or clips, or candy. The physical environment is cozy and wonderful and warm and loving and compassionate and empathetic, and I did not know that places like this existed, and I love it. So if you're thinking, how do I help? How do I get maybe my neurotypical environment to be more neurodivergent, right? So, of course, I made a list. So teachers have to understand neurodivergent brains as well as neurotypical brains. If you have paras, they need to be educated with new information. We're taking away all stickers, tickets, tokens, points, clips, and candy. That means PBIS is out. That's going to be a tricky one. Curriculum about real life stuff, right? If you're doing math, do like real life stuff. If you're like, what are kids going through? Are they going, do they have certain areas that you're concerned about? Or like, what can we be teaching kids that are going to help them in real life, right? I learned a whole bunch of stuff in my schooling career that I don't need to know about. And if you have neurodivergent kids, let's teach them real life skills. Dim lights, let's bring the natural light in. I always say all kids need natural light, movement, and fresh air. So how can we figure that out? And at recess, they also told me, this is another thing, at recess, the boy that I was there to observe said, you could stay inside, but if you wanted to go outside, someone will go outside with you. It was cold and pouring the day I went, so no one went outside, but I was like, that's never a choice. To stay inside or outside, it's either indoor recess or outdoor recess. I work with a girl now, nothing to do with this school, that does not like lunch and recess, does not like the cafeteria, so she misbehaves. So she goes to the office for lunch and recess like almost every day. And they can't figure out why she does that. And I was like, I can tell you why. And variation of seating. So, right, when we are working with neurodivergent kids, I always say we have to spoil them, right? The SPOIL is slow it down, put it on the shelf and prioritize. Overwhelm, that's what I'm talking about, the overwhelm part. Interests, right? We have to, that room was full of the kids' interests. And then listen to lived experiences. So we're going to do all four of those. We're going to think about those. We're going to think about how to spoil a neurodivergent child, a neurodivergent brain, and maybe flip some of the stuff we do, right? With that variation of seating and the dim lights and slowing it down and what kind of curriculum's important and what new information do teachers and paras need. So we are more on the inclusive side of, instead of, right, we want to be inclusive and celebrate inclusion. And I think I wish we could all go to the school and check it out, because that would be just wonderful. Because of the things I see, I'm sure there's little things that you're like, oh my gosh, Meg didn't say that, but that would have been helpful. So maybe the next time I go, I'll look at other things that we can be checking out and go from there. Okay? I love you so much, and I will see you, well, you'll see me in May. Okay? Love you.